Sometimes I just have thoughts and I'm just like, I have to get it out. So I've been thinking a lot about how overconsumption and the desire to buy things is almost equated to having some sort of independence, autonomy. It's an expression of autonomy, culture, and in a society that like autonomy is very conditional, depending on who you are, depending on all your identities or how you're like perceived, right? Let me slow down. Everything in capitalism is conditional. I grew up in Ethiopia. My dad's family is from Eritrea. Generational family like grew up either in Eritrea or Ethiopia. Okay, but the one that I'm most familiar with is the Ethiopia, and living there, existing there, growing up there, coming here, being a transplant here, and then going back and try to relive there again. I only know the experience of being a diaspora for specifically in that context. So don't take this as a universal judgment or analysis of like where things are at. This is just me. So I grew up pretty like low income, pretty poor, like, but then I've seen fluctuations of like we're doing really well and other times not so well. Like, it's like 80-20, 80% doing not really great, 20% I saw glimpses of like abundance, whatever, material stability, and like being able to not worry about where our next meal is gonna come. Like, so that's kind of the division of how I grew up. So my economic condition is probably gonna feel very different than like you or other people you know in your life. After we came here, my dad, I have a single father, kind of middle class, maybe lower middle class, that is like within the context of America, 2007. Okay, that was the experience I had. We had family around us, but he was solely supporting us. He owned a store that is kind of shared with his brothers and stuff. Okay, so it was me and my sister, and my dad was like doing it all himself. As soon as I was able, I got a job, and since then I've been working consecutively non-stop until 2022 when I took a sabbatical, because I actually was at a place where I could take a sabbatical and I had really bad burnout. So I took 9 or 10 months of sabbatical. For that 4 or 5 months I was in Ethiopia, and then the rest I was unemployed, just really doing nothing, to be honest with you. I was making videos here and there, but like nothing extensive. It was winter, so things were also slow. So going back to like my journey of being here, right? So in 2025 I have a job now. I have 2 contracts. I'm a 1099 employee. For the most part, I would say share a house with my sister. Groceries is split together. We utilize a lot of community resources and stuff, but we're very minimal. I support my family back home. So that's the financial place I'm in 2025. How your journey happens really can de-radicalize you or radicalize you, a diaspora person who has left your country willingly or unwillingly because of economic circumstances or just stability in the country. That is determined by your journey and who you come across, how much reflections and give time to really think about like how you're feeling about your life truly, and like really assessing if this is fulfillment or if this is just stability. If you come from a place of chaos and surviving, the transition out of chaos is going to feel really difficult. I feel like a lot of diasporas that come to the US, including me, I think I've always reflected of like, what am I doing? Because my ultimate goal is to not live here. I want to be in Ethiopia, like that's like my home. But at the same time, I don't feel fully home in Ethiopia either. Someone asked me a couple of days ago, like what's the experience of me being a diaspora? It's very like visceral. Like I have words for it. It's like putting together a puzzle that you don't have all the pieces for. You're trying to like make home and kind of like assimilate, but not too much to the point where you're losing yourself. Being a diaspora is fragmentation of self. So because of that, a lot of diasporas, as human beings do, when they are having a struggle with their identity for whatever reason, or to find like a presence within that country that they have willingly or unwillingly have left, they have to find another way of like feeling present in that country or like in control. You feel so fragmented by the experience of being a diaspora that you will do anything to gain some control back within your life, but also to have presence, rootedness, you are realness. I feel like a lot of diasporas, the way that they do that is by buying into the idea of this consumption as a mechanism of control and autonomy. Okay, go with me on this. And I think about diasporas going back home and they have enough money to open establishments or something. Majority of the time, maybe this is by coincidence, majority of the time, the places and the businesses that they open are for profit and for their individual or their familial gain. It is not trying to go back in service of the place that you once were, you know, a child, or if you grew up a little bit, like you spent some time in. There's a disconnect that happens when you become a diaspora. You have a completely different nationality now. Not like the nationality of the country that you're in, but like it's almost a separate, like liminal citizenship that is of diaspora person particularly. A lot of the time when diasporas come back home, they end up making it known that they are back, either by buying businesses and kind of opening like a really nice bar, club, cafe, whatever, or it's to kind of live this like exaggerated lifestyle that is so different than the people around. Again, this is generalized based on the things that I've seen. You don't have to question what's going on and like why the wealth gap exists, or be uncomfortable by the fact that like while you are, you know, dropping 3,000 birr or 5,000 birr for lunch with your friends and someone next door that's their like whole income for like a month, like you don't question those things because like it's a very uncomfortable thing. You have a specific new citizenship that is colored with some privileges, which is in this case is class privilege. When you have left and come back, culturally you were different, you felt different, you didn't really completely align. And then there's another layer of difference, and that is the class. You have a class divide in the way that you see the world, what you find convenient, how you find fulfillment now, how you perform well even. So a lot of things start to show between the neighbor person who also you have seen like when you were younger, and now you're coming back and now you're kind of seeing like, oh, I feel very different from this relationship than I did years ago. And that's because there's this removal of like your experience and like the reality of your reality and someone who lives their reality is, it's divorced. Even though like maybe there's similar classes or something, there's some dynamics that have just changed by the fact that you have possessed different things than you did before. Other reason I really think like this overconsumption specifically as is a mechanism of control is specifically I think for women that grew up with not a lot of independence, women who cared for their family, women who spent a lot of time worrying for other people and not really recognize like they have their autonomy in there too. Like the people that just kind of wake up, like the women that just kind of wake up all of a sudden, they're like, wait, what am I doing all this for? Consumption and buying things is like a way of acquiring freedom or independence in a way. It's like fast tracking it a little bit. Because if I can buy my own, you know, really nice laptop because my laptop has slowed down and I don't have to worry about like if someone can lend me it or whatever, or like I can get it in any other way, like that is me making it. Like I made it. But like the fact that I can drop this money independently as an individual, just like that, that is a sign of independence and like making it. I feel like this is like the tricky thing about consumption. When you continue to consume and you are making more money so that you can consume more, like there's not like a threshold to that. Physically and resource wise, you're consuming so much, you are probably going to be working more. You're probably going to be seeing your people, your community way less. Isolation is gonna want you to buy more, and when you're like have that much time, then you're working more, and then if you're working more, then you know consume more. So it's like this catch-22. At that point, not only do you not have the mental capacity to question about these things, but now you have this cycle of addiction around consumption that is acquiring all these things individually and hits a thing, and then you buy more things and you buy more things instead of like questioning really uncomfortable things. Who makes this cell phone, or who makes this? I don't know. You cannot buy yourself out of a socioeconomic nightmare that is collective. Like, I think it's like we're trying to run the clock sometimes, like it's gonna catch up with me, but right now I'm good, my job is secure, blah blah blah, you know. What's normal is like very deceptive, acquiring more things, and then what? Let me not act like I'm the first one who really came up with this idea of consumption as a mechanism of control, but I think I see a lot of like finger pointing at individuals on the internet. We're acting like individuals are stupid, individuals are dumb, and they don't know what's happening. And I think we can make, you know, really larger points about how tech and the internet really monopolizes our attention to the point that it's a reflection of the world. Especially if you don't have community, I understand how those things could be conflated. Especially the people that are very critical of our overconsumption content, to be very condescending. Like, it doesn't really get to the depth of the psyche of like why we're doing the things that we're doing, and like depending on your upbringing and who you are and how you value things, what you were taught as a kid, there's so many factors that go into like what we find valuable, enjoyable, exciting, even if it's for a short term. I don't think everyone is at the same pace. Being informed about something doesn't change someone's perspective. If they did, then, you know, people would watch the video essays and they're like, you know what, I'm done scrolling all day. But it's not about that. It's about so much more than that. Yeah, that's it.